Welcome back, everybody, to the Spiritual Uplevel Podcast. I'm your host, Jeri Cristine, and today we have all the way from across the pond in the UK, Mara Marchesi. She is just a beautiful soul. I can tell already from the short conversation that we've had. She's an intuitive and creative coach and a healer, and she especially works with people who may or may not know that they want to break cycles in their life so that they can really live the life that they are meant to live. So, Mara, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, Jeri. Thank you so much for having me.
I want to just jump right into it and have you explain to us how you came to be doing what you do today. How did you become who you are today?
Well, I think it was my search for freedom. I am Italian, as you can tell from my name. And in 2009, I moved to London because I had this desire I loved London, first of all, but then also I just needed to be somewhere else. I felt out of place, always felt restless. And when I moved here, a friend of mine gave me The Secret to read, and that book opened up a word that I had no idea about. Some of the things that I did, like great, being grateful, and other, like I was very positive, and I had this conception of the universe can help you to move forward if you kind of show up for yourself. But I didn't really have any other tools, or I didn't know anything else. So from reading The Secret, I started to get into self-development, and I started to practice some of the things that those people were saying. And I realized that things were slowly shifting. When I moved here, I used to work in advertising when I was in Italy, and here it was very difficult for me to find a job. So I had to go with the first thing that I found. So I wasn't necessarily that happy economically and all of that. So all of those tools kind of helped me to move forward and stay in this higher vibration, even though at that point I didn't know what that was. The fact that I was always a very positive person led me to give advice to people, and people were kind of attracted by my energy. And at some point, I was like, "Oh, I want to be a coach," but my point of reference at that point were Jack Canfield, were Tony
Yeah.
Robbins, Les Brown, and those guys were talking about making millions. And at that point, for me, was I could barely get to the end of the month, so they weren't relatable. So I was saying, "Oh, I'd love to be a coach," but my head couldn't put together the two things, me being a coach and making that kind of money when I was struggling with my money. Until someone, a friend of mine, was like, "But you don't have to make millions. You can just make the money that you need." And
I
that was
completely
like,
relate to that. Yes.
right? I was like, "Oh my God, you're right." Um, so that was kind of like something that maybe then realized, okay, I can be one. But even so, it took me a while to get to do it. I then started to go into trying to make more money, trying to get a promotion, try to fit in a group of friends that were kind of higher level than me. So I kind of got stuck in that rat race of making more money and getting promotions so that I could afford things that I didn't need.
Mm.
Although I would still read all of those books, but I wasn't really taking action on looking for a coaching course, for example, or things like that. And then my dad passed away in 2015, and that was the biggest awakening because I realized that life is short and I
Mhm.
had to make my life happen now. So it really scared me because I kind of saw my life happening without me taking action. And I started thinking, "Oh my God," and then if things don't, if I don't even try, I don't even know where I can get to. And so the year after, and so from that moment, I gave myself a little bit of time to heal, and then I started looking for a coaching course that made sense for me. And when I found one, then I was like, "I'm all in," and I was all in, and that's where everything started.
Wow. What a great realization to have. You know, it's so often that something hard in our life, like losing your father, causes that realization that really makes you wake up and take stock of your life,
Yeah.
you know. And what a great realization to have at such a young age. I
Yeah,
think
well, I was
so many people
33 at the
today wish they
time, and yeah, I think that when you don't have the right support, maybe you don't have people that can help you. I never really had the right support. Like if I think about me now, if I think about, even just what I say to my friends, not just clients, but you know, um, I never had that kind of mentorship from anybody that, and I come from a very um, normal family, kind of fixed mindset. So I had to go through a lot of work in terms of working on my self-worth, on believing that I could, and all of that, money mindset, all of that, those things. And if sometimes I wonder if I had someone that could guide me. Uh, I found the books and I found all of those people that I didn't know.
Mhm.
Uh, and probably I needed that kind of punch in the face really to wake up, because I really got into a place where I wasn't doing anything that was serving me, and that I knew that, like, it's that kind of situation where, although I always listen to my intuition a lot, sometimes your mind takes over and your mind decides that you need to make that much money and you need to do things that other people do, and you forget what your dream really is about. And you need a slap in the face to kind of get back to where you're meant to be going.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a similar background, you know, nothing to do with anything that I'm doing today. I had to find my own way. It's so interesting because The Secret was one of the first things that I found. I'd gotten into self-development a little bit before that, but The Secret was pretty pivotal. Um, and I have found though that my clients are that this have the same life path many times.
Mhm.
If I hadn't went through everything that I went through, sounds like the same with you, I wouldn't be able to do what I do today. And
Yeah,
so like for you, you broke cycle. You broke
I
the cycle.
did.
You've broken out and now you're doing what you love, and that's the people that you are coaching as well, right?
Yeah, well, I end up doing coaching those people, but because I also think that there are so many people that they know within that they can do better, they can do more, they want to do more, they can do something that makes them happier, that gives them more freedom, more flexibility, especially now that, especially after the pandemic, there's been so much conversation about life and work balance and doing what you love and all of that. And I think nowadays it's become even more mainstream that it was when I started. And I think that people are slowly, slowly starting to realize that you don't need to be unhappy. You don't need to suck it up just because you need a paycheck at the end of the month. And so I think it's when something within you start to say that one time, two times, and then you start to realize, okay, I need to make a change, and I don't know how the change is going to be. What exactly do I need to do? And that's why they come to me or they come to you, because you need someone to guide you in that transitional period. And sometimes you don't even know what you need.
Yeah.
You just know that how it is cannot continue because it's not working, and you don't want to get on feeling the way you feel. You can see there is a better vision of yourself, but you struggle. Like I said, I struggle to see myself being a coach like Jack Canfield and Tony Robbins. I couldn't see that I could go from making a little bit of money, just enough that I can pay the rent and all of my expenses, to then eventually move forward from that and aim to become a millionaire, because why not? But you need to find someone that helps you connect the gaps and helps you move through the gaps.
Yeah, we see the end result, the Jack Canfields or the Tony Robbins, how they are today, but we don't see the struggle and everything that they went through to get there. And so it
Yeah,
seems overwhelming. Yeah. And that I love what you talked about. Like people are waking up and realizing that they don't have to be miserable. They can be happy. They can do what their soul is calling them to do. My background is my husband and I own several real estate related construction related businesses. And as a Gen X employer, I was not so sure when that started happening. I was like, who are these people that don't want to just work for a paycheck? And now, like shortly after, I just started thinking, God, this is beautiful. Like these younger people are like, uh, no, like, why would I work so hard to get a
right.
gold watch when I'm 65? No one cares. They don't care about you. I want to travel the world and do what my heart's calling. And oh my gosh, I just wish I'm here for it, man. Like I hope everyone in the world wakes up. I love even seeing like people older than me who are like changing their careers or like whatever's been stuffed in there for years is finally coming out and they're just really being who they were meant to be. And it's
Yeah.
so beautiful. I think it's slowly happening, but I think it's happening more and more and more. And every generation coming in is making even a bigger dent in it.
Oh
Our
yeah.
world is going to look very different in 10 years than it
Oh
does
yeah, absolutely.
today. Yeah, that's so fun. So Mara, tell us, how do you work with people? I know you do several things. I know color therapy, human design, Reiki, and then of course your deep inner personal work. How
Yeah.
Tell us about that. How do you do that?
So one of the signature session for me has always been color therapy because I realized that colors speak to me. It's like the way my soul speaks to me. Like I eventually started saying that I'm a psychic because I am, but I couldn't own it until a couple of years ago. Um, the way when I talk to people, I just see colors, and then I learned after I did a aura reading that you can actually work with colors. And I was like very excited. So I started learning color therapy, and there is this techniques for which your date of birth tells me what are your colors. And so when I tune into your colors, I can actually tell you and pinpoint what are the blockages that could be either past situations in your life, some fears, a particular situation, something that happened your life, something related to your past life. It depends on what's in your energy. And so you come into me wanting to work on something specific because maybe you feel blocked about, I don't know, making more money or whatever that could be. And whatever is in your energy is already ready for you to release it. Because when you're like, okay, I'm done with this, I want to move up the ladder. I want to release this fear, whatever it is. I want to release this pattern that I have. There is some sort of awareness, and there your energy is kind of ready. So there is information in your aura that tells me what is it that is holding you back. And sometimes it's something you're not ready. And some other times it's something so specific that you didn't even think that could be something holding you back. And just becoming aware of that helps you heal that part of you. And then I do some healing, and I help my clients use colors because to me, that's the fun part of doing inner work. And then if you want to go deeper, we can actually work for 12 weeks together and do some really deeper stuff. One of the things for me, it's trying to get as closest to the root cause of the reason why you feel the way you feel and where you want to get to. Because when you know and when you see where are the blockages, it's easier for you to take action and change it. And sometimes people are so afraid of what they might find. I'm like, you're only going to be finding what you can handle. And even if something really traumatic happened to you in the past that you kind of know, but you have it in the back of you, you're too scared to deal with it. We can only work in layers. There is nothing too big for us to handle will come to us in that moment. But you need to peel those layers. So energy healing is one of the things that I love doing. And I combine that, and it's the color therapy session is really about energy and emotional healing, because I think everything is connected. Your body, your mind, your energy, they're all connected, your emotions. So when you tell me I'm stuck with this or I have this physical pain, I'm like, okay, let's see where this is coming from. And the human design is because it just helps me to understand how you function. And it gives you a blueprint. Because for me, one of the things that it's important for me is to help you understand who you are right now, because a lot of us have learned to tick the boxes, and I've done this, I've done that, I went to school, I studied this, I became that, I found my partner, I maybe started a family. So we have all of those ideas when we are maybe in our 20s, how our life is supposed to be looking like when we are 30, when we are 40. And then maybe you get everything and you look around, you're like, this is not what I thought I would feel. Or you
Yeah.
get to that age, you're like, I don't have anything of those things. And oh my God, the anxiety because everybody around you has that. You don't, and still need to find yourself. So for me, it's like, who are you right now? Because we are a collection of a lot of things, but sometimes we don't really know who we are because we think we are something related to the past. So I want people to get to know them right now, so then you can actually understand what's going on first, why that is going on, and then we can slowly start to unpack and release what's not serving you. And then you can start to slowly trust yourself, trust your intuition, and tune into your potential, whatever that is. You don't have to become anything major, but if you are working, I don't know, in corporate, and that job, maybe because up to a certain point you cannot go any further, you got bored for any kind of reason, and maybe there is some sort of creative outlet for you that is there. I want you to tap into that, because that's what gives you joy. And who knows, do you want to start a business with that? Do you want to have a career in that? We can do it. It doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter where you are in your life. What matters is that you realize who you are right now, who you want to be, and we work on that. Whatever is in the way of you being happy, whatever you want to feel fulfilled, you want to feel loved, whatever it is, we'll work on that. And we're going to release all of the blockages that are coming your way, and the fears. I'm very big on working on fears because, from my personal experience, I grew up with a narcissistic mother, and I tend to work with a lot of people that have chaotic childhood. Um, when you grow up in a chaotic environment, one of the things that you're going to do is try to find a way to feel safe. And so there are all those coping mechanisms that we start having in order to feel safe, that when we get older, they don't serve us, but they're still there. They still work for us without us knowing. And fear is one of those things that a lot of people have for no reason whatsoever, but it's still there, it's unconscious. And I've done a lot of work on my fears. And I want to work on this, because once you realize that those fears were there to keep you safe, but now you don't need that kind of safety, you don't need that kind of behavior, we can find a different way for you to feel safe, and we can release that. And the moment we start to release that, then it changes the intensity. So you might still have it in a couple of months, but it's going to be less, and then less, and then less. I'm not saying we're never going to have fear. We're always going to have some sort of fear. But one thing is having fear because maybe you're starting something new.
Mhm.
One other thing is not starting something because you're terrified that you're going to fail.
Yeah.
And so those are the things. I do a lot of work on generational trauma and things like that, because for me, it's like where everything starts. And so I really want to get down to the root cause of whatever it is that is holding you back.
While you were talking, it was making me think, like this is where midlife crisis comes from. I've started calling it midlife awakening instead of
Yeah.
crisis. crisis because it can be so beautiful. But then I think it goes so much deeper than that, even like, you were talking about how people think they should have all these things by the time they're in their 20s and 30s and 40s. And I wonder if these conditioned fears from our, genealogy, whatever, from our past, from our childhood, if these conditioned fears are what make us think we need those things in the first place. Because we're not taught to grow up thinking, who am I and what do I actually want? You know, who is Mara? Who is Jeri? And what actually makes us happy? Instead, we're taught to think, I need a family and kids and a house and a dog and make this much money because that's what everybody does. And if I don't want that, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes a lot of courage looking at your life and realizing that's not what you want and decided that, okay, I'm going to make a change. Because the moment you start to make a change, you're obviously going to behave differently with the people around you. And that's when you need to be strong, because that's when you start to see all the mechanism with the other relationships,
Mhm.
particularly with family and maybe with closest friends, because we are always trying to find people that match us somehow. So, when they say like-minded, it's like-minded on a low spectrum or on the high spectrum is the same. So you have learned to cope in a certain way. Maybe you have learned to avoid to shine bright, to avoid disappointing people, because maybe that's what you learn. It's safer for you. And you're going to always have this mechanism playing up in your life, work-wise, friendship-wise, and all of that. When you make a decision that that's no longer what you want to be, and you want to shift something in your life and you want to feel differently, you're going to have to change the way you treat yourself, but also the way you respond to what's around you. And so, for example, one of the easiest examples that I can make, if you are a people pleaser and you've always done what people wanted you to do, and slowly you start to say, no, I'm not doing this. I cannot. I'm not available. People that in your life always knew you were going to say yes are going to start to get crazy. And they're going to start to push back and try to make you feel bad because you're saying no. And that's when you really need someone to help you and guide you in that moment, because it's hard, especially when you have family doing that to you when you always thought they loved you. And the reason why they loved you is because you always did what they wanted you to.
Yeah.
Friendships and things like that. And so you really need to, so that's why one of the things that I work a lot on is to help my clients to feel strong, because when you're really starting to make changes and you're really starting to set boundaries and do the things that are good for you, that's when you start to have pushback from other people. And you really have to be strong enough to say, okay, that's fine. And I'm going to lose people and then people are going to be mad at me, but I'm choosing me. And that's hard at the beginning.
Absolutely. That is incredible that that's your focus, is helping people be strong, because it is so hard. I think about when you mentioned like growing up with a narcissistic mother, like setting boundaries with somebody like that is very hard because they're going to make you feel bad because, like you said, that's not what they're expecting. Setting boundaries with people who love you, and that's not to say that sh that everybody who gets upset by you setting boundaries doesn't love you. It's just different from their expectations,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of people, though, will also be excited for you. There will be people in your
Oh,
life who are
yeah.
like, yeah, finally you're standing
Oh,
up
yeah.
for yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
latch onto those people because that's the world needs more of that. You know,
Yeah.
I had that experience within my own family, and it changed our family dynamic with my husband and my kids. Not because they didn't love me or they weren't doing their best as well. Just, you know, as a mother, we tend to just do everything for everybody. And then one day we wake up and go, wait, I'm doing everything here,
Yeah.
and you guys are sitting on the couch. And when I started setting my boundaries, you know, they were like, wait, what? You like, you want help? But then it was literally like a couple days, and they were like, okay. And
Yeah.
now my life is just so much better. I told my husband, I feel like I'm on like the first month, I was like, I feel like I'm on vacation every day because you guys are so helpful. But that's how it should be. That was me, you know, enabling them,
Yeah.
which isn't healthy for them either, you
Yeah.
know? And so it just, it goes all the way around. But yeah, discovering who you truly are and standing for it is very
Yeah.
empowering. That's very beautiful. I wanted to go back to color therapy. You mentioned that you help your clients work with colors, and I'm curious what that means because I know for me, when I started my spiritual journey, one day I looked in my closet and it was basically black, gray, different shades of gray, a couple tan, and maybe like navy blue, like I'm wearing today. And I made a point of starting buying colors, and now my wardrobe is very colorful. And that was just something that came out from me, like opening myself up and starting to become more who I truly am and not hiding, I think, so
Yeah.
much
Yeah.
behind that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So explain that a little bit. How do people work with colors?
So color have energetic positive and energetic negative, and we have our personal color. We have our chart that kind of explains how we are meant to be working in our life and how what kind of energies are more for us and how can we move towards our life mission, because we also have the color of our life mission. So um, I start with the color you were born with, which is your general energy. And then as you move through your life, energy shifts, and you just need to know the tendencies of your colors. For example, if you have red in your chart, doesn't matter where you have it, one of the things that you will be is the kind of person that is always striving forward, kind of leader, visionary. You want to move forward, you want to move fast, you want to do, but also you might have some guilt and some fears, and you get lost in doing too much
I must
because
have
it's a
red
very
all over my chart.
so it's about learning to understand how you function energetically and using your colors or others. Oftentimes when I'm having a session, a color pops up and it has nothing to do with the chart of my client, but maybe it's a color they need to work with for whatever reason, because they are also related to emotions, specific situations. And oftentimes the client is like, I don't like that color. I'm like, okay, let's work on this. Because when you don't like a particular color, there is something there that you need to work with. There is some kind of blockage because that color maybe represent, I don't know, creativity, sexuality, sexual energy, expansion. And you're telling me that's not something you like, but maybe you just came to me because you want to, I don't know, be more visible, something like that. So where is the block there? So that's how I work with color. And also because it helps my client tune into their intuition without thinking too much, because a lot of people don't think that they're intuitive, which is not true. It's just that they're afraid to trust themselves, maybe because they couldn't before. And so with colors, it kind of helps them relax a little bit. And also it allows you, what we don't know is that what we don't realize that the colors around us activate us in a way or in another. So if you're already full of anxiety and fear, maybe you need different kind of colors around you, or you need to tune into more to your own personal colors. So I get them to use colors wearing them, eating them, surrounding themselves, and see how they feel, and not necessarily knowing what the meaning of the color, what the color represents. So oftentimes I'm like, okay, you don't think you can trust yourself. If you have a meeting and you want to feel very confident because you have really researched this presentation and you've done a lot of work, ask yourself, what color do you need to wear tomorrow morning? And use that dress, go do your presentation, and that let me know how you felt, what happened. And normally your intuition will pick up a color that will help you if you ask the right question. And when you do that, and then you come back and you're like, oh my God, I wore, I don't know, a yellow dress because I wanted to feel very light and I wanted to feel my inner power, and I don't know. And you come back, you're like, oh, okay. So I didn't know yellow meant that, but now I can see how my intuition works. My intuition actually picked up a color for me that made me feel how I wanted to feel. So that gives a lot of trust to my clients. And then I do a lot of different things. So, but to me, color is the way that you can actually tune into your energy or any other energy that you need and really start to understand. And then obviously, if you don't know anything about colors and we're working together, I'm going to use them to help you understand what are the emotions that are holding you back. And we can work with that. I really find it such a pleasurable way to do inner work. Sometimes we do things that are very hard, and I want you to have a little bit of fun where we're doing something that might be a little bit intense. So that's how I use colors. And normally I also get them to really tune into their personal color. So depending on what is it that you have in your chart, those colors will really help you. Like if you look at my brand, it's purple, pink, and orange. And it's not just because they are my favorite colors, but they are my chart. My chart is full of those colors, and it represents who I am. Purple is the color of intuition, orange is the color of creativity, and pink is the color that helps to connect the spiritual with the material. And it's me to a T. And so when I work with colors, they're very surprised that they actually talk about them. So when you tune into those kind of energies, it helps you. When I feel down, I'm wearing my colors. I'm making sure I'm surrounded by my colors because I know they will lift up my energy. So sometimes we don't really know. We have tools that we don't need to do anything for it. We don't need to sit down and meditate. I suggest meditation to everyone, but sometimes there is an easier way to get you into different energy, and then you can do something else. You can use a different tool that maybe needs you to do something.
That's very cool. I'm going to have to get my chart, my color
Yes.
chart. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I'm fascinated by that. I love that. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. So, Mara, how could people reach out to you if they want, for example, to find out about their colors or if they want to coach with you?
Yeah. So you can find me on my website, theintuitionqueen.com. And you can find me on Instagram, the Intuition Queen. You can listen to my podcast, Intuitive Queens. That's pretty much it. The website is the best place because I do moments where I'm offline and I don't want to be on social media. So I have moments where you see nothing from me, and then I have moments where you see a lot of me. So if you want to know what's happening, just go to my website and everything is there.
Beautiful. And I have two questions for every guest before I let you go. And the first one is, what is one book that you recommend that our listeners read?
Oh, one book. There are so many. Um, the book that actually I'm gonna suggest The Alchemist from Coelho because that's the book that helped me feel connected. I grew up in a Catholic family, and religion was never something I related to. And so at some point, I was like, I don't believe in anything because this doesn't work for me. This fear mongering based religion, it's not for me. And then someone gave me The Alchemist, and there was this conception of the universe helping you if you want to achieve a goal. And, and the more you tune into yourself and the more you focus on the positive, the more things come to you. And I felt that resonated with me so much. And from that moment, I was like, okay, I trust the universe, which now I'm connected to angels and any kind of spiritual being up there. But it helped me to feel like I was not alone. Like the universe was there to help me and protect me and guide me. While before I had this moment of gap where I was like, it's me, there's just me. And with all of my blockages, I was very limited. So I think if you're starting out, The Alchemist, it's a great read.
I second that. If you're starting out, that's one of the best. That was the same for me. Just resonated on every level. And you're not the first guest that I've interviewed who
I
has
can bet.
that. And then, Mara, my final question for you is, what is one thing that you wish everyone in the world knew?
That whatever desire you have is because you are meant to unlock yourself and get there.
Mm.
So don't be afraid, don't feel ashamed, don't feel you cannot. Instead, ask yourself, what do I need to do to get there? Why is this desire within me? How can I be supported to get there? And I promise you, things will come to you, people, anything. And it's one step at a time. So you have great potential. It's limited, it's not finite. You just have to learn to trust yourself. So think about your desire, think about what you want, tune into that desire. And if you don't know what to do, just ask, how do I get closer to you? And I promise you, things will come to you.
Mm. On that note, thank you so much for being with us today. I've really enjoyed this interview.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being on your podcast, Jeri.
Thank you.